Hi, I'm Roy Strasburger, CEO of StrasGlobal. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to our presentation on being relevant. Relevancy is incredibly important for your business in today's ever-changing world. First, let me tell you a little bit about StrasGlobal. We're a contract operator of retail sites around the country. We do everything that needs to be done to operate someone's business on their behalf, including the day-to-day operations, and we're responsible for most on-site issues and situations. We operate stores across the country, and there's no minimum number of stores, so we can handle one to several dozens of stores for any client. We also have two sister companies that I'd like to introduce you to. One is Resources for Retailers, which provides a wide range of support and information for small business owners, and Compliance Safe, which is a cloud-based system for storing, managing, and renewing critical documents. So let's talk about relevance. Being relevant is much more important today than it has been in the past. It used to be that everything was about location, location, location. But today, it's more important to be relevant to your customer, because if a customer is ordering things online or looking at reviews online, location isn't important if they're sitting on their couch. So you need to be able to appeal to your customer and provide them what they're looking for. And it's all about meeting the needs of the customer and what you're trying to do. I really enjoy the quote by Miguel Hontel, who is an American actor, that he has learned that you're only relevant to someone if you're beneficial to them somehow, some way. And I think that you have to really have an appropriate solution to the perceived need of your customers to be considered relevant. You have to be able to provide what the customer wants, when the customer wants it, in a way that the customer wants it to be received. And I strongly believe that to be successful, you must be relevant to three different audiences: you, the community, and the customer. So let's break these three areas down to talk about what they mean and what they mean to you. You are the cornerstone and the foundation of your business. Everything that you're doing from a retail perspective centers around you. So the first thing that we need to establish is whether your business is relevant to you and what you're trying to do. So is the image or the brand that you're presenting the one that you want to be identified with? So for example, would you be proud to wear a logoed shirt in public, anywhere outside of your store? Are you proud of that brand, and is it what you want to present to the public? Is it the kind of business that you want to operate, whether it's a specialty store or a general store? So for example, do you want to sell groceries, or you want to be in the food service business, or have a franchise, or sell clothing, for example? Is it relevant to you as to what you're trying to offer? And is the product selection something that you're interested in and is excited about? So do you use the products that you sell? Is it something that you have an interest about or a passion in that you want to present to the consumer? And is the retail presentation that you're giving the customer something that you're proud to show? Would you invite your close friends into your shop to have a look at your store and to show it off? And finally, are you excited to open up your business every day? Well, maybe not every day. I know there's good days and bad days, but in the majority of the time, are you happy about getting out of bed and going to work? And if you can answer in a positive way to all of these questions, then congratulations, your business is relevant to you and you have an interest in what you're trying to do and what you want to accomplish. But you also have to be relevant to the community. You can't live off one customer. You need a community of customers. And you need to be able to understand what that community is, how it functions, and how it communicates. And so let's look into the community section for just a little bit, because that's where you're going to find your customer base and how you're going to create your appeal to your customers. So are you relevant to your community? The first thing we need to do is define what your community is, how big it is, what is the boundaries, who's included in it. This applies both in a geographical and or real world sense, but also online. Who are in your community that you're trying to communicate to? Are you recognized in your community, and do they know who you are? Have you created something that will help you differentiate yourself from others in the field and know what you are trying to offer to them? And how does the community identify you in your image and reputation? What is your reputation in the community that you're serving? How are you known? How do they know you? It's really important that your reputation uh, be positive and that you're seen as an honest person to be doing business with. And how does the community communicate? How does the community communicate within itself? And are you able to participate in that conversation? So whether it's through social media, whether it's online forums, if it's a newsletter or newspaper or radio, how do the people within your community talk to each other, and how do you become part of that conversation? And finally, what are the opportunities for you to interact with the community? Are there online events that you can participate on or in to share information or ideas about your products? Are there programs or events that you can sponsor? Are there community forums that you can participate in and actively be a part of? You need to be able to integrate yourself into the community so that you understand what your community is trying to do and be able to understand the needs of those folks. So now that we have a basic understanding of your community, let's take it down to the most granular level that we want to deal with, and that's your customer. Because your customer is the person that's going to keep your business going, but you need more than one of them, and you need to understand what they're doing. And you only can make a sale and collect the money from one customer at a time. So do you understand what they're doing? Do you understand what they want? Do you understand what they need to be relevant to them? So let's talk about that a little bit. So first of all, do you meet the customer's food and safety expectations? In today's COVID and soon, I hope, post-COVID world, whether you're following COVID protocols to keep your customers safe and your employees safe is a major entry point into creating that sense of customer safety. You also have to reflect that in food service and the way that you handle food and the cleanliness of your stores. Do you meet the needs and wants that your customer is shopping for? You have to give the customer a reason for them to give you your money. And do you provide the shopping experience that the customer wants to have? Worst case scenario, the shopping experience should be a neutral or a meh type of experience where they come in, make the transaction, and go on their way. And it's neither necessarily good nor bad in doing it. But what you want to strive for is a very positive customer experience so that it's pleasant, it can be enjoyable, and it's something that makes the customer want to come back and see you again. Do your customers offer you suggestions about what services to offer and what products you should carry? The best way of understanding your customer is to listen to them, to get clues from them as to what they're looking for and what they want. If they're willing to ask you a question or make a suggestion, that means you have their interest and that there's an opportunity to work with them. You may want to formalize the process so that you can keep track of what you hear from people and you ask people on a consistent basis what you can do to be a better retailer. Does shopping with you make them want to come back? How do you create that repeat experience? It is so much easier to have repeat customers than to try to continually get new customers, that the whole shopping experience should be the main way of bringing people back into your store. It's much easier to have repeat customers. And will your customer recommend you to others? why is it that they are wanting to do business with you? Why would they recommend you to somebody else? The best way of advertising is by word of mouth and personal referrals from one person to another who knows you, who can recommend you as a good place to be and a good place to shop. But the main question into doing all this is the why. If you understand the why, then you'll begin to know whether you're relevant to your customer. And it defines your business and how you find what the customer motivation is. So one of the things that I've suggested that we try to do is to get to know your neighborhood, get to know the people in your market area that you're visiting. And I'm going to focus on the geographic, real world side of this for a moment, but it can also apply to the online version of it as well. Go out into the neighborhood or into your market area and walk the streets. See where your customers live. Understand what the demographics are around your store. You may only need to go out about 4 or 6 blocks from where your store is located, but walk the streets and take a really close firsthand view of what's happening in that area. So for example, ask yourself some questions like, what type of housing is in the neighborhood? The different type of housing that people have will have an impact on the types and the size of products that they buy. People in apartments have less storage space than people that live in houses. What kind of cars do they drive? That will show you whether they may have large families, whether they have economic issues, whether it's a new car or an old car, large or small. It'll give you a clue into what their buying patterns might be and how they live their lives. Are there kids in the neighborhood? Do you see them outside playing, or do you see toys in the front yard or out on the front step? Or is the neighborhood full of empty nesters? That once again gives you a perspective of the type of products that you should be selling to reach those people and to meet their needs. Are people enjoying their time inside or outside? It gives you an idea of what kind of products and occasions that you should be catering for. If it's outdoor barbecues, you need to carry one type of product, but if people are staying more inside on a regular basis, then there's a different type of program or products that you can be offering those folks to make sure that you're meeting what they're looking for to entertain their friends and their families. What kind of music or television do you hear playing from the buildings or from around the houses that you're visiting? It gives you an idea of what the age of the areas may be, age of the people who live in the area may be, because that type of music and those ideas will give you a perspective of what the age relevance will be in the area. And what is the language that you're hearing in the music or the television? That gives you another insight into the ethnic makeup of what your neighborhood and your marketplace might be. And finally, although this sounds a little bit creepy, look into people's garbage cans. Don't dig through them, but have a look in to see what people are throwing away. And are they throwing out products or cans of products that you're not selling? That could be a real opportunity for you to sell those type of products in your store if people are using them in your neighborhood. And you want to be able to understand what they're buying and be able to promote those programs and those products to be able to meet what they're using at home and how they want to provide for their families and for their friends. So that gives you one perspective on what your consumer is and what your customer wants. But the other perspective is look at your competition. They're serving, in theory, the same customer base that you are. And what can you learn from your competition to help you understand more about your customer? Go in, visit your competitor, and have a look. But the important thing that I want to stress is what you don't want to do is imitate what your competitors do. You want to differentiate yourself from the competitor and make your program a little bit different and better than what your competitors are offering. So go out and have a look and see what your competitors are doing. Are they selling products that are different than what you're selling? And if so, do you need to reconsider what it is that you have in your stores? What products are those? Where are they getting them? Somebody seems to be buying them. And maybe you can give an opportunity to sell those to your customers as well. Conversely, if they have a lot of products that are sitting on their shelves and they're very dusty and they don't look like they're selling, maybe you should not carry those in your store either. So it gives you an idea of what sells and what doesn't sell so that you can better determine and define what your product mix is. So does your competitor have a wider or narrower range of products that they're selling to their customer? Have a look and think about whether you need to reconsider your product selection and the mix of products that you have put together to sell to the customer. So as you develop these ideas, continue looking at the details of how things happen inside the store. Are the price points dramatically different from the ones on your product? If they are, it means you're either not charging enough and maybe leaving some gross profit dollars on the table, or you're overcharging and you're too expensive and you're not competitive. It'll give you an idea of how you're placed in the marketplace and reflects what the economic situation is for the demographics in your neighborhood. How clean is your store? Or how clean is the competitor's store? And go in and have a hard look. You are the customer. What is it about your competitor that you like or what you dislike, or what turns you on or what turns you off about what they do? And a suggestion is if you find an area in the store that you dislike, it's dirty, it's not well merchandised, it's out of repair, go back to your store and look in exactly the same area and see what you have done in regards to that. Are you having the same problems and the same issues that your competitor is? And this gives you an opportunity to fix it and to clean it up. What was the customer service experience like at your competitor? Was it good? Was it meh? Was it bad? You need to be able to out customer experience your competition. And you can learn from them to see what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, and what you may need to apply to your own business. And then have a look to see how the retailer supports their community. What is it that they're sponsoring? What kind of signs do they have up in their stores or on their doors that promote neighborhood events or local associations or community gatherings? You need to be part of that conversation and community as well, as we discussed earlier. And it's good to see how they're doing it so that you can also participate in that and make yourself known to other folks in the community. So now we've had a chance to go out and take a close-up look at the customer. We've also taken a close look at your competition. It's time to go back and look at your own store and see how you measure up to what you found out. And you need to do a self-inspection of what you're offering to your customer and to the community, and to see how you meet their needs, and frankly, to see whether you're relevant. You need to take a very hard look at what you do and approach your store with a fresh perspective or fresh eyes, as your customer would look at it when you come in. Take what you've learned from your competition, look at it what you're doing in your own store. Take what you've learned from your customer base, look at your store and see whether you're meeting those needs. So the first thing and the lowest bar that will keep people out of your store is the health and safety issues that we've talked about. Are they in place? Are they visible? Are you doing it seriously, so that when somebody comes in, they know that you're concerned about them and their welfare? Make sure that your store is clean. It's like the frog in the boiling pot of water scenario. If the frog is put in with the water boiling, it'll immediately jump out. But if the frog is put into the pot while the water is still room temperature and you slowly increase the heat, the frog will not notice the difference and eventually will boil in the pot. A gruesome metaphor, I understand, but the point being, as you spend more time in your store, you stop seeing the details because it becomes every day, it becomes habit. By looking at what other people are doing and coming back and looking with a fresh set of eyes as to what you're doing, it gives you a new perspective on how things should be and what you should be doing to be the best operator that you can be. So look in the obvious areas, clean floors, clean shelves, but check out the nooks and the crannies, the things that people will see that you may not be paying attention to anymore. One of the favorite examples I have is that if you sell milk, always look under the milk section to make sure that spills and drips are cleaned up, because that's one of the nastiest parts of this of the convenience store in the cooler, is where that accumulates. Make sure it's clean, because every time somebody opens the door for that cooler, they're going to see the mess on the floor. And if you're not careful, they're also going to start smelling it, which will put everybody off. So check the details on the cleanliness. After you start investigating and inspecting your store, does your offer match up with what you've learned as far as meeting the needs of the consumer? Are you being relevant to what they're looking for and what they need? And how do you promote that? How do you present it? How are you letting the customer know about that? And finally, does the customer shopping experience match or exceed the customer's expectations? You want to wow customers with friendly service in a clean environment, in a safe environment, and at reasonable prices. And that is how you're creating a long-term customer, a repeat customer, and a referral for the future to bring new customers into your store. And so that is how we go by the process of becoming relevant. And if you've gone through the steps and you've done well and you feel very positive about it, congratulations. More likely than not, you're relevant to your customer, you're relevant to your consumer and your community, and importantly, you're relevant to yourself. So now that you are relevant, how do you stay there? And the most important thing to do, and the best scenario, is to stay informed. You've got to keep looking at what's going on around you. It's not good enough just to sit in your store and keep doing what you've been doing every day, because ultimately you will no longer be relevant. So read magazines, newsletters, all the email blasts that come out from the various organizations. Skim through them, look for new ideas, see what your competition's doing, see what people in other parts of the country are doing, so that you can come up with ideas and products that you can implement in your store and continue to impress your customer. Attend trade shows if you can, whether they're at the national level, at the state level, or even if you have vendor trade shows at the city level. Go see what's being offered, listen to what people are saying, get outside of your bubble so that you can have the opportunity to see what's going on. So these days, a lot of trade shows are happening virtually because of the COVID situation. Pay attention to what's going on, see what the prices are, see what the products are, see what the trends are that the consumers are following. Attend conferences when you can, either online or in person, to get the ideas from both suppliers and from your peers, other people who are in your business. What are they doing? What are they saying? How are they approaching their business? Follow social media that's related to your business. So get signed up or start to follow either on Facebook or on Instagram or Twitter or all of the other dozens of social media platforms. Find somebody in the market, either locally or a national name, and see what they're doing. Because once again, it's all about ideas. It's about taking what you can find out and implementing it at your store. Sometimes the ideas are very expensive and you can't do it, but it may give you a hint of what to do, of taking it to the next level or implementing something that will wow your customer. Sign up for resources for retailers. If you go to our website, which is strasglobal.com and /RFR, you'll see our resources area for things that we're putting together and information we're putting together for small operators. For example, you'll be able to find out about our COVID vaccination program that we're putting in place and implementing in our stores. We also have things about how to increase your sales, your profit margins, and bring more people in. It's a great resource, and we're going to be continuing to build it, offer new programs and events. And I would like to encourage you to have a look at it to see if we can provide you something that will help you with your business. Continue visiting your competitors once a week, twice a month, at least once a month. Go visit one or two of your competitors to see what they're doing and see what new programs and ideas they're putting into place that you may not have heard about or have not thought about. They are the best way of you getting new ideas and staying ahead of what they're doing because it is a competitive marketplace. Talk to your vendors about products and the customer insights that they're putting together so that you know what the best information is. Your vendors are spending thousands and thousands of dollars to understand your customer. Take advantage of them to find out more information. And ask your customers for their feedback. Talk to them. Have the dialogue that lets you know that they are thinking about coming into your store, what they're thinking about coming into your store, and what they would like to see different and to do different. You need to be able to communicate with them and let them know that you're interested, but more importantly, listen to them. It won't always be good, but when you get bad news, it gives you an opportunity to correct it and to be a better retailer. So to sum up, relevance and being relevant starts with you. It's all about how you approach your business. It's about you understanding yourself, about understanding your community, and about understanding your customer. The perfect situation is when what you want to sell overlaps with what the customer wants to buy. And that little circle in the middle is the sweet spot of making sure that you are being relevant to your customer and that you're going to continue doing business with them. The challenge, though, is that the dynamics and the factors and the influences that affect you being relevant change it continuously. Every day, something new is happening. The economy changes, COVID happens, influencers start a new trend. There's thousands of ways that your customer is being affected away from your store that you don't get to see. So you need to be able to modify what you're doing to be able to meet those needs. Because if you keep doing what you've always been doing, I will guarantee you, you eventually will no longer be relevant. Relevancy and being relevant is all about change and adaptation. You either change or you die. And it's up to you to stay on top of it, because when the customers become disgruntled or you are no longer relevant to them, they will stop coming to your store and you won't be able to find out what you need to be doing. So stay proactive, stay on top, and continue to be relevant. So thank you for your time today. I really do appreciate you joining us. I hope you got a lot out of my presentation. And if you have any questions or if there's any other information that I can provide you, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email contact is here on the slide, and we would look forward to having a conversation. And I wish you the best of luck. Stay relevant. Thank you.